Immigration. For joining me live is Head of Chambers and Immigration, Barrister at Imperium. Chambers, it's all your fault, Paul, isn't it? I mean, the government, they've got an 80-seat majority. They can't do a blooming thing because of your lot.
That's hardly... I suppose that's what a lot of the right-wing press would say.
Well, that's what government ministers say. That's what Boris Johnson said when he was Prime Minister, that it's lefty lawyers frustrating the government.
Was it the same lefty lawyers that found him to have been dishonest, I wonder? Or was that his own problems?
Well, that's a slightly separate issue, but the point is...
What exactly have we done this time, Nigel?
Well, it's just the fact that, you know, there was supposed to be 50-odd going onto the Bibby Stockholm today, but there have been a lot of legal cases arguing that people can't go onto the water because they've had traumatic experiences crossing the English Channel. Whether it's Rwanda, the government don't seem to be able to do anything. That's the point I'm making.
Perhaps because they don't act within the law or they don't resource their own departments properly. It's tempting to make jokes about the Bibby Stockholm being rather a large boat and people not wanting to go on it having been on a small boat.
Yeah.
But this is all a gimmick. It's a sideshow. What the government don't want to focus on, and they can do something about but choose not to, is that there's 173,000 people in the asylum backlog, a record, and 606,000 people migrated to the United Kingdom lawfully. Legally. So we have, in total, including the asylum seekers that claimed asylum, we have a backlog of nearly 800,000 people. So rather than fund the immigration to actually get on and deal with it, there's this concentration on putting people onto the Bibby Stockholm. Personally, and I may not win myself any friends with this, putting young, healthy men on a boat for a week or 10 days or 14 days to process their asylum claim, as long as there's adequate health care and it's not going to burn down, isn't conceptually a problem. Putting people on there for 18 months as...
It's a recipe for disaster. Yeah, no, I agree with that. I agree with that. Cooped up together, there'll be fights and goodness knows what. No, I can see that completely. But... and I get the point, you know, the law is the law and government has to act within it, and I understand that. However, what we have seen in the last week or two are several people, solicitors, basically for financial gain, aiding and abetting illegal immigration. The Daily Mail did a huge piece of work on this and good journalism. Question is, does the legal profession police itself? Because from what I can find out, almost nobody gets disbarred or kicked out as a solicitor. In these cases where it is clear that they're acting illegally, you know, they're in effect working for the criminal gangs on the other side and bad people on the other side of the channel. Do you think the profession can sort itself out?
I think a lot of work needs to be done. This is a very serious issue. And lawyers ought to be held to a higher standard because they're the people that seek to represent and enforce the law or argue on the people's behalf. And in these times when immigration, for example, is such a contentious issue, it's important that the lawyers are trusted. Now, in respect of the three individuals that were found, or the three solicitors, the SRA intervened and immediately stopped them from practising and shut their firms down. But there is, I would say, a wider problem. I've worked in immigration for the best part of a quarter of a century, both for the government and for the majority for migrants. What I have seen through my time is that there is that whilst the majority of lawyers are hardworking and not well paid, there are a significant number of rogues. I've been instructed in cases where the paperwork has been written by somebody who can barely understand English. I have spent years of my life sorting out people's cases who have gone to these rogues. They have been robbed in some cases, and in some cases have gone to the police and people have been convicted. And the service that they've got is appalling. It is, in some cases, it is criminal, and in some cases, it is just woefully negligent. One example, which is not particularly funny but illustrates the point, is I was sitting in court and the client had to interrupt to represent themselves because the lawyer's English was that bad. Now, the bigger picture is, are the regulatory bodies acting quickly enough? Now, I would say that there's a lot more to be done. And stopping people from coming back into the profession. I know of one firm that was intervened, stopped twice, and then they reinvented themselves and had another long run before they were finally intervened. And I've had to pick up a load of their cases where they have actually really blatantly, they've robbed the clients. And because of the hostile environment, the clients don't feel that they can go to the police or report it because they'll be in trouble.
Yeah.
But I would say that there is a massive problem.
So there's work to be done.
A huge amount of work, Nigel.
Paul Turner, thank you. Well, from one profession